Same thing with cosplay. Like you put on a costume or makeup or contacts, whatever it is, and you just feel different.
Hi guys, today at Yodoozy we have an extremely talented cosplayer. Please welcome Michael Knightmage Wilson. Hello Michael, how are you?
Hello. Very good. How are you?
I'm good. It's really great to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so you do a lot of cosplays, right? And what is the story behind it?
Yeah. So it kind of started from my with my love of Halloween. I've always just loved dressing up for Halloween. One year, 2011, I wanted to be John Stewart Green Lantern for Halloween. And that's not a costume you can really find at like a Halloween store.
Yeah.
I had to like very crudely try and put it together. So my girlfriend helped me sew it together, and I went out to Halloween parties and had a blast, had fun. Well, a friend of mine was doing a charity event, and he asked, "Well, can I come by since I have this superhero costume?" So I went to the charity event, and I had a blast doing the charity event. And from that, I just got asked to do more and more different events. So it kind of snowballed from there. And then pretty much all in 2012, that's all I was doing was just different charity events, hospital visits. And I
Yeah.
figured, well, I should probably have more costumes if I'm going to continue to do this. So, it snowballed into making a Batman costume and then Captain America, and then I discovered conventions. And that's when it just really blew up. And yeah, now it's pretty much just been my passion for the past, like
Yeah.
10 years or so.
How often do you do cosplay? And if you're too busy, how do you manage time? Cosplay requires a lot of time and attention, right?
Yeah, it honestly took a while for me to find that happy medium between my regular life and day job, and then traveling, and then also trying to find time to actually create. It honestly took a while to try and balance that, but I got it pretty much worked out now. The one thing with me is with my builds, I don't oftentimes go for like perfection per se, unless if I'm trying to enter a contest or something like that. I build things for me, so that's why I can go a little bit faster.
Yeah.
I can do things a little bit cheaper, cut corners here and there. So yeah, that's kind of how how I was able to try and figure out the building part. As far as like the traveling and going to conventions, when I first started, I kind of wanted to go to like every convention I can get to. Like it doesn't matter if I had free time, I was at a convention. Then it got to a point where I was like, well, listen, I gotta say no. I have to tell myself no at some point. Uh, it sucks, but you gotta make sure your real life responsibilities come first.
Yes. Conventions are really exciting, right?
Oh yeah, I there's nothing better than having this kind of camaraderie with like-minded people. Um, you know,
Yeah.
everyone's a geek for something, whether it's like sports or comics and movies. So like so the first time I stepped on the floor, show
Totally.
floor, I was blown away. I'm with my people. Like these are my people that get me and understand me, and yeah, there's no other community like the convention cosplay community.
According to you, which is your favorite, most popular cosplay that you've done?
My next one.
Oh, which one
Yeah.
is it?
Well, I put it to you like this: it's whatever my next costume is. Because
Okay.
yeah, because
Oh, that's
because I've done so much. I've done about 250 costumes now, and I'm kind of I'm
yeah.
once I make one, I almost look at it like, okay, I'm done with you, and I'm looking forward to the next one, and I get excited about the next one. Um, I'm really proud of everything I've done, but I will say I think each costume has its own personal,
Yeah,
you
you're
know,
right. Totally right. Okay, tell me which costume was the most difficult one? Most difficult costume to arrange all the parts and the sewing and all.
um, most difficult. Wow. Probably maybe RoboCop. And the only reason I say RoboCop is it was the first time just like making a full armor out of foam, and I didn't. I used no pattern, no
Okay.
template. It was just completely waking up and just freehand cutting and seeing what happens. So I always say that was probably the most difficult. But that you know what that's the thing I love about creating
Yeah.
and cosplaying is having that challenge and thinking, how can I do this
So
and how
that's
to figure it out.
how long does it take for you to get ready?
It depends. Depends on how much makeup is involved. It depends on if what time I wake up. um, it all just depends. I think
Okay.
now I would
So,
say, well, I was gonna say I think now like probably about 30 minutes um is a good
oh,
is a good estimate.
okay. Well, this is not too long. 20
No,
minutes is okay. You're fast. You're fast.
well, yeah, I mean, the more you do something, the faster you get with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So practice, lots of practice.
So whenever you shoot outside, and do you ever get negative reaction, or how do people react when you shoot outside?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but I'm a black cosplayer. Of course, I'm going to get negative reactions. It just kind of goes with the territory, and you have to realize that we live in a social media age, and you're putting yourself out there for the world to see. And it's easy for someone to be negative over a computer. And sometimes it might be out of jealousy. Sometimes it might be because they're a purist. There's many reasons, but it's going to happen. Um, the thing, though, is there's always going to be more positive out there than negative. So for every,
Yeah, there
negative
is, of course, no doubt.
for every one negative comment, you're gonna have 100 positive. Even though it's tough because you're kind of stuck on that one negative comment, but you got to kind of look past that and look at those 100 comments. Um, but yeah, definitely have had a lot of negativity. Um, Batman's not black, or you're too big
Oh, but
to be this person or whatever. I mean, one thing that does honestly help is knowing that and knowing that something you do is inspiring someone in some kind of way, um, and that actually does help with every negative comment you do see. You remember those interactions and things that like you just said, and it makes it all better.
any interesting stories from cosplaying or while shooting or at conventions you have?
Oh man, so many. uh, Interesting stories. Um, yeah, man, there's so many interesting stories, but I think the one story I love to tell is it means so much. It kind of correlates to the last question. Um, I was doing a anti-bullying school event, and
Okay.
I was dressed as Batman, and I did the event. It was for about 250, 300 kids. It was awesome, and about 2 weeks later, the teacher who was running it called me, and she just wanted to say thank you again. The kids all loved it. Um, the thing was, there was one particular kid who just kept, saying, "Oh my God, like Batman was here," and blah blah. The thing is, it was a predominantly white school, and the one kid, it was the one like black kid in the school who just kept saying like Batman looks like me. Like I that means I could be Batman. Like he was just so enamored that Batman had the same skin color as him, and that's kind of when I realized the power of cosplay and just how inspirational and
Yes.
powerful it can be. Um, and this, like I said, it's those moments of knowing that maybe you helped someone in some kind of way, and that are really special to me.
Have you ever end up hurting yourself, like while getting ready or with makeup?
Every
Is it so?
time,
Yes.
every time.
Oh my
Um,
God.
usually it's when I'm making something with hot glue. Like I'm always like
Yes.
burning myself with a hot glue gun
Oh
or
my
a heat
God.
gun. I think probably the worst injury I've ever had was um, I do a lot of airbrushing, and I was airbrushing. I ended up with the the airbrush needle. I took it out to clean it, and I put it on the floor. And I have a habit of just like kind of just sitting on the floor crafting. Well, I went to go sit down, and the needle jammed
Oh
right
my
into my
God.
calf muscle, and oh, that was the worst pain. Oh my God. But yeah, yeah, that's probably
I
the
totally
worst.
get it.
Ugh,
That's really dangerous.
yeah, it is. Yeah, that's why you gotta be really careful when you're crafting. While getting dressed, I've never really had an injury. Let me knock on wood while getting dressed. But that was probably the worst one I could think of.
Do you need help of your friends or you do it all alone?
um, typically, I'm doing everything alone.
Oh
I
wow.
mean, there are times where I have no qualms about, going out in the hallway if I'm at a hotel and trying to find, what a maid or janitor or someone and said, "Hey, can you help zip me up or something?" Or yeah, but typically I'm by myself. So that's why when I'm making something, as soon as I'm done, I'll try it on and make sure I can get in and out of it
Yeah.
by myself because I know typically I'll be by myself. But yeah, if I can get help, I'm not going to say no to it. But I like to be able to try and do it on my own.
What qualities does cosplay bring out of you from the beginning when you
Yeah.
started it?
I I would say probably the most notable quality is uh the like social aspect of it, I guess. So I'm very introverted actually, and shy, and I would say it's kind of like when you're a kid and you put sunglasses on and
Yeah.
you feel invisible, right? You can't see. It's the
Right.
same thing with cosplay. Like you put on a costume or makeup or contacts, whatever it is, and you just feel different. You feel totally different. You just feel like you might feel a little bit more bolder and stuff like that, and you can talk a little bit more. By doing that, it's actually enabled me to be a little bit more social and being able to speak in
Yeah.
public. And you know, now before I wouldn't be able to speak in a room full of five people. I hated it, but now I'm doing events with like 30,000 people, and I can just speak to
Yeah.
them. Well, so yeah, I think that's the one most notable trait that it's kind of built up in me.
How was your first convention? Like when you went, were you nervous or
Oh,
how was it? How was
I
the
was very
experience?
nervous, very nervous.
Oh,
Because I didn't I knew of cosplaying, I knew of conventions, but I never had been to one. And so, this was like a year into this me cosplaying just for charity.
yeah.
And so that's when I joined Facebook, and there was a few cosplayers who noticed my costumes and like, hey, what convention do you go to? What conventions? It's like I've never been to one. So then I went to my very first one, and I wore Batman, and I had no idea what to
Yeah.
expect. I just was just gonna go walk around as Batman. I don't know. And I said as soon as I walked on the floor, I felt so comfortable at home. Like I had people coming up to want to take my picture or something. And the very first person I've ever met, Becca Ford, she was dressed up as Robin, and she just
Oh,
came up to me and she's like, "Oh my God, you look so awesome!" I'm like, "Oh my God, you look so
yeah.
awesome!" And then there was just a crowd of people who just wanted our photos. It was Batman and Robin, and we stood there for like 40 minutes just taking photos and talking, and the experience was just it was definitely life changing. Again, you're just with your people. You're with like-minded people. You're with a very
Yeah.
accepting community. Yeah, it was just it was an amazing experience.
Any advice for your fans who are starting cosplay?
You know what? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of little tidbits of advice, but I think the main one is do things on your terms. Where, and what I mean by that is you don't have to cosplay to someone else's expectations. It's however you want to cosplay. I always preach that cosplay really is nothing more than your fan art of this character, and there's no
Yeah,
wrong way to do fan art. So, if you want to be a 5'4", 300 pound, Spider-Man, sure, why not? Why can't that Spider-Man look like that in Earth
sure,
number 948? Like, it's your fan art of this
sure.
character. So yeah, don't ever be afraid to do things how you envision this character. If you want to be accurate, if you want to not be accurate, if you, it's sky's the limit. It's your take.
Yeah,
So just don't be afraid.
yes. I think that's the best part about cosplay. You can create your own things. You can create your own superhero,
Yeah.
right?
And actually that's something I love. I love when I see people doing original characters. It's you see them and you're like, huh, that I don't know that character. Tell me about the character, and then like they
Yeah,
want to tell you like, oh my god, well yeah, this is a character I came up with. His
yeah,
name is so and so, blah 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 blah.
yeah.
It's just that creative, that that creative
Right.
mind I love. So yeah, I love seeing people do original characters too.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.